In the quiet town of Bamenda, there lived a girl named Kella. She was 23, full of dreams and fire, with eyes that held stories too deep for her age. Her dream was simple: to escape poverty, take care of her sick mother, and one day build a life she could be proud of. She was in love with a young man named Taku. He was a bike rider, humble but deeply loyal. They had nothing, but they had each other. Every night, they'd sit under the mango tree behind Kella's house and talk about their future. She promised to wait for him if he ever traveled. He promised to fight for her no matter what. But one evening, everything changed. Kella received a mysterious call. A connection man from Yaoundé said he had a slot for her to travel to Italy through Libya. She would go as a housemaid, but deep down, she knew it wasn't that simple. The promise was risky, but the thought of making money and sending it home to her mother, who was now too weak to walk, was stronger than her fears. Taku begged her not to go. He told her people never come back, that the desert swallows dreams, that Europe is not for everyone. But Kella had already made up her mind. With a heavy heart, she left Cameroon 2 weeks later. The journey was brutal. She crossed Niger, and into the deadly Sahara Desert. People died. Girls were abused. She cried herself to sleep every night, but she survived and made it to Libya. In Libya, she was locked in a dark room for 3 weeks with 18 other women. The madam, who was supposed to take her to Italy, demanded money she didn't have. Taku sold his only bike to send her some money. Her mother sold her farm tools. Eventually, she crossed the Mediterranean Sea in a rubber boat with no life jacket. And somehow, she made it to Italy. But Kella was never the same. She worked as a cleaner in the daytime and slept in a container at night. She stopped calling Taku. Months passed. Then years. All he had were old pictures, voice notes, and hope. Her mother died 6 months after Kella left. Taku tried to tell her, but she never answered. Then one morning in Bamenda, the news came. A Cameroonian girl died in a house fire in Italy. Her name was Kellandang. Taku collapsed. He screamed. He cried like a child. He blamed himself for not stopping her. 2 weeks later, a coffin arrived at Yaoundé airport. It was sealed. Her aunt was told not to open it, for health reasons. They buried her in silence. No photos, no goodbyes, just pain, just pain. But here's where the story takes a turn. 1 year later, Taku was at a local market when he saw someone. A woman in a hijab, her eyes, her voice, her laugh. It was Kella. He ran to her, but she ran too. Confused and angry, Taku chased her down the alley until she screamed, "Please, don't tell anyone." She wasn't dead. Kella confessed everything. The girl who died in the fire was her roommate, but the madam who trafficked them demanded that someone's identity be erased to escape police investigation. Kella had no papers, so they used her name for the dead body. She became a ghost, a fake death. In exchange, she was promised full documents, a new life. She returned to Cameroon under a different name to visit her mother's grave. But she couldn't face Taku. She thought he'd moved on. She thought he'd hate her. He didn't. Taku forgave her. He was shocked, overwhelmed, but in his heart, he knew he had never stopped loving her. "I'm getting married in 2 weeks," he told her quietly. She smiled, held his hand, and whispered, "Then she's lucky. Because you are the only man who has ever loved me with no conditions. Thank you." But instead of disappearing again, Kella stayed, quietly. She got a small job in Bamenda and began to rebuild. She never came to the wedding Taku married, but something had changed in him. Years later, after his wife passed during childbirth, fate brought Kella back into his life. She had become a nurse, he had become a school teacher. This time, love didn't have to hide. This time, it didn't whisper. They married quietly, far from the noise of the past. Every year, on the day they reunited, they placed 2 roses, one on the fake grave that changed everything. Because some stories don't end in silence. They rise again stronger.